Well, good morning. Welcome back to Pirate Solutions Forestry. My name's Bill. I get a little bit of a fun day going on. I do have to mill some board and batten for the equipment shed back here, so we're going to do that first. And I came up with an idea last night, and I'm going to show you guys because I think it's going to be really cool for the equipment shed. It's going to make it look neat. And we're going to continue testing out the mechanics gloves. And at the end of this video, I'll kind of show you the progress on how these are holding up. We are running a brand new Wood-Mizer Silvertip Turbo 7 on the sawmill today. I'm kind of trying to hold on to my Stella Cut bands, the ones that I've sharpened to mill some hardwood, a hardwood order I've got coming up, that they got to kind of come out real smooth and flat for oak floorboards in a farmer's porch down Cape. So trying to hold on to the Stella Cut bands, and I'm just going to keep running some Turbo 7s for a while, especially just running them in pine. They like to go fast, and I don't believe they cut as flat as the Stella Cuts, but they cut flat enough for board and batten, which is what we're doing. So if you didn't watch the video last night, it wasn't a great video, but it was just an update on the sawmill shed. Let's give you a quick little look here before we get to milling. This is the candidate that we have up on the mill. It's a real nice straight white pine log. It's got a few knots in it, one pretty good knot cluster there and a pretty good knot cluster there. So it's going to have some figure in the wood, which you want in board and batten. If you look at how the knots stand out in the board and batten. But this is going to be our cool accent that we're going to add. So years ago, I cut a bunch of 16-foot spruce beams with chainsaw mills, and I had stored them away for a while, flat and for a long time. And when I pulled them out, a couple of them had rotted a little bit. This one is sound, and I don't have a whole set of them, and I wouldn't trust them to be structural. I had thought at some point I was going to use them for a 16-foot base on a timber frame, but now I think that they're just cool the way they've grayed out, and they're not going to be super structural. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a ridge beam out of this, or we'll call it a ridge support. It's technically going to be a ridge beam, but we'll call it a ridge support. And because it's 16 foot long, it's going to stick out on both sides. So from the edge of my trim out here, my rake boards here, the white oak rake boards, to the white oak rake boards on the other side is 12 feet. I am going to cut the angle on the top of this right down the middle, but I'm going to start it in so that what's sticking out of the bill, what's sticking out past that, those rake boards, is going to be square. So I'm actually going to do a stop on both sides and then cut the angle, the 8 pitch on both sides of this, so it'll be a little teepee, and I'm going to stick it up inside there, run a support underneath it in the middle on both sides, and then timber lock it into my rafters all the way down, and it's going to stick out a couple of feet on each side. And I'm going to I've got some of those really old cool ship turnbuckles with ropes, and I'm going to hang one off this side over here, and then I will put in a little door. I'll do it later after all the board and battens up, because it's just easier to do it that way. I'll put in a little door there to where, you know, it's going to be like I could crank boards up and feed them into the loft. And it's going to stick out on this side as well, 2 feet. And I will probably put I'll put a little door in over there. I don't know whether this one will be functional or not. It'll just be a faux door. So I might just frame a door on this side so it kind of looks cool. But I think it's going to look really neat. So that's the project that we're going to get into today, aside from trying to finish the board and batten on this shed. The ones that I'm cutting now, think this is just over 8 feet long. I think I'm going to put on the back wall and then save my longer one, so I'm not making so much waste. So you can see all the waste over there from cutting board and batten. I want to minimize that a little bit because these boards are so nice and I need tons of them. So the one that we're cutting now is going to do the back wall, and then we'll use what's left of the longer ones here for the gable ends. And then I've got some 14 footers over there if I need to tap into that to finish the gable ends too. So first thing we got to do is mill this thing up into 1-inch thick boards. I don't really care about the width, the wider the better. And then after we do that, and they're all stacked up there, we're going to cut that angle TP on the top of that. It's going to be a stop cut, so it'll be square sticking out. And we're going to get that thing up in the building and secured, and then we will go to town this afternoon on trying to finish the board and batten. So hopefully this isn't going to take all that long. I'm going to see how fast I can mill this with the Turbo 7. I am going to try to stay away from a ton of flitches. Let me back you up just a little bit more. So I will try to cut it kind of heavy. All this waste out here is going to end up getting turned into firewood. And let's get to going on it here. I don't think I will have any trouble turning this by myself. Let me turning it by hand, I should say. I am going to go at this pretty fast, and I am going to do a video on speed. I thought about doing it on this log, but I got too much work to do to mess around with it. But I am going to do a video where I make like 4 different cuts at 4 different kind of radical speeds, like, super fast, medium, and then really, really slow. Show you the difference between the finishes. So I'm scraping off some dirt crusted in the sap here. Show you the difference in the finishes at different speeds. These Turbo 7s like to run fast, but you do have to have the horsepower to do that, and I'm marginal at 18. So I can run kind of fast, but not insanely fast. Like if you ever watch Robert Milton milling on his LT70, he's humming through Walnut. Obviously, he's got 50 to 70 horsepower in that thing, and he can really hum. This is not the same machine, but especially when I get it down to a cant, you can really hum through boards pretty much as fast as you can push. So let's get it taken apart, get it into a big square, and we'll figure out what we're going to do for board width. It's pretty fresh cut log, so I will be taking off 99% of the wood that was still making sap. So the center of this log will be bone dry. Boards will be really light. They won't have any sap in them, but the outside of the log will. I think this top cut's going to be somewhere around 17, maybe even 16. This log is 19 by 18 on this end. It's a little bigger on that end. It's going to be heavy. It's a really nice log. It's perfect for what we're doing. So let's try it at 17, I think. I'm going to try to minimize my waste cuts here. Need a little more room on my adjustable blade guide. And at just round numbers, like 19, we're going to end up with something that's going to be around a 13-inch cant or so. That's a pretty wide opening face, so I think we'll flip it over. If you are into the building stuff and not the sawmilling stuff, this is probably not going to be the video for you. Trying to get it as low as I can get it. It's just going to make it easier for me to get my log dog assist kind of in place, so if I get stuck, then I can use it. Like that, it actually worked. Oh my God. The log dog assist worked. It stayed in. Okay. Just going to make a mental note of, oh, my stops are up 9, it looks like. Looks like that one might have fallen down. Damn it. Oh, that one did fall down. Whoa. Ow. My hip's still messed, so that did hurt a little bit there. Just this one's up at 8. I'll put this one at 8, so I know where they both are. And let's take the top off this side. When they're this heavy, we don't even have to really log it down right now. This cut's going to be about 15 and maybe a flitch. We'll try it. A little bit of dirt here. I want to get off. Just right here. Try not to smoke this band immediately. Let's try it at 15. Yeah, we'll try it there. Looks like I could go a little lower. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a fairly wide face cut. I think I'm going to leave it. Hang her, flip her on her side. It's not that bad. I'm going to drop down to take 1 inch off it and even out my cut. So that was at 15. I'm going to do a 13 7/8. Right? Yep. That'll even it out a little bit. Yeah, and we'll edge this flitch when we get the cant edge down. Beautiful band's cutting great. Should cut great for a brand new band. get her flipped on her side, squared up. What I just did right there, I don't know if you guys can see it real good from your view, but I evened out these two cuts, pretty much keeping the pith dead in the center. Pretty much. It's not something that I'm really worried about with board and batten. Hopefully that log dog assist will work on this, because it's going to be, they're always heavier when you have to turn them square with a square side. The square sides don't roll as well. Okay. Guys, this is one of those times when you have to be very, very careful with the log. You do not want this thing to roll over on you, and they will. So I'm just getting her square. Could I square them against my stops? They probably will. I'm just checking it with a square because I want it perfect. Right there is absolutely dead perfect. Absolutely perfect. If I use a dog in it here. Perfect. Take the top off this side. Be right around 17. Yeah, right around 17. Let's take it there. Close down my blade guide now. Now let's flip her over. Flip her over, we'll get the top off it, see what we end up with for a square, and then we'll make a determination how we're going to cut it. Can I cut wide boards? I can. I would rather not have them this wide though, because they will just tend to want to cup really bad. But I also don't want to turn them into 6-inch boards either. So if I have my choice between 12-inch boards and 6-inch boards, I want them 12. Oh, come on. There we go. Oh, almost. Nope. This is going to be heavy. It's going to be hard to turn. Well, let's get the top off it, and then we will make a determination of where we're going to cut this thing. Looks like 15 starting. And I'm going to take one more flitch off this down to 13 and 7/8, and I think this ends up 13 and 7/8 by 13 and 7/8. So I think if this is 13 and 7/8 by 13 and 7/8, I'll check it 1 second here. We're going to cut it in half. We're going to cut it in half and mill it out like that. And it's 13 and 7/8 by 13 and 7/8. So we're going to drop down to, it's 6.5 and 13/16. I got to get these stops down. 6.5 and a half. It's 6.5 and 7/16. 6.5 is 13. Half of 7/8 is 7/16. So that should be 6 and 15/16. Actually, I'm going to leave these up maybe 4. Drop them down when I cut the final. That way, because I'm going to have to roll the cants. So it's 6 and 15/16, but I have to take a 16th off that, so it should be 6 and 7/8, and that should give me equal on both sides. And we'll measure it out really quick just to make sure, but that should be the center. It's right dead in the pith. Just make sure that's right. 6 and 7/8, 6 and 7/8. It's perfect. So we're going to cut it in half right here, and we'll flip it on its side, hopefully without dropping one off the mill, and cut it out. One, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 7 inches clear. And now we're going to try, I say try, to flip these without throwing them off the mill. I like to cut it all at one time and see if I can do it that way just to save time. It would make more sense to pull one of them off. Norwood, you got to get these log dogs below the bunks. You have to. Right now I'm hitting my log dogs. I tell them they're not below the bunks. They don't believe me. You got to get those log dogs below the bunks, guys. All right, so I want to do this. I'm going to put one of my stops way up. Actually, probably both of them. I want to drop this chunk right in between here, and I don't want it to fall off the mill. Normally, with a normal size cant, you can just hook the bottom and keep the tip around the top. Oh, I might have it. And go really fast like that. And bam, Bob's your uncle. That's perfect. Now we can drop those stops all the way down. So we don't hit them on our final cut. And we can get on 1-inch scale and start mowing through this thing. Oh, that's gonna stink. Oh, that's gonna stink. I'm gonna end up having to flip this over. All right, before I finish, I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna have to flip over what I have left because there's a little thing of wane and it won't grab my log stop. So when I get down, before I make my final cut, I'm gonna have to flip them over so I have a nice square edge over there. Okay, 1-inch scale should already be on scale from the other day. And we will go down so we know we're 13 7/8. All right, what I'm gonna do, because I'm pretty clean on the top and I have that wane on the bottom, I'm actually gonna scale off the top and leave my bottom board thick. So we're gonna go to 13 7/8, which is, we just make sure that's perfect on here. It's absolutely perfect. And we're gonna pull our 1-inch scale down and set 1-inch scale there. And we're gonna scale off the top. Okay. 2 up. Next cut should be like 11 5/8. Perfect. Hurry up, next cut's a 10 1/2. Four up, next cut's at 9 3/8. Five up, next cut's at 8 and 8 1/4. 6 up, next cut's at 7 and 8. Seven up, next cut's at 6 inches. Four, five, 6, 7, 8. Bring it back, shut it off, unload it. So that went pretty good. I will probably save you the pain of watching me edge boards. But what I'm going to do now is that I have that little cant down the bottom that's 6 inches high. Both of these flitches are going to yield more than that. And when you're doing board and batten, if you've got any weird rakes or any windows, stuff that you're going to have to cut around and things like that, you want to keep your like-sized boards together because you're going to want your batten to extend past some of your openings. So since these are all the same, we're going to keep them together. So if we do have to span past an opening, we'll use the same pile. I don't know why I'm grabbing the inside one here. It's just kind of dumb. But I will put these flitches up here and edge them both off, then finish off this cant. It'll take about 2 minutes. And I have plenty of wood to finish what I'm doing. Band cut remarkably well. I just can tell you that even a brand new Turbo 7 does not cut as good as a resharp Stella cut. I can tell you that without fear of reprisal. Stella cut bands just plain cut more stable. These cut, I mean, this cut fine. I actually had a customer not too long ago want rough sawn lumber, and the lumber that was coming off the mill was too smooth for him. With the Stella cuts, he wanted more marks in them. He wanted more character. I'm like, so you want it to cut worse? He was like, yeah, I'm trying to match up something that's worse, which was a weird problem. Can never imagine that I would ever run into that. Somebody wants rougher boards. That obviously went nice and quick. I do see one little wave in that board down the end. So yeah, that's what we're getting up to. I will use this on the back wall. I think I'm going to try to get my beam installed. It's probably what I'm going to work on first just because it's up on the sawhorses. And so to just give you a better idea what I'm talking about is that this beam will be cut with an angle like that on the top at 8 pitch, which is 33 and a half degrees ish. It'll be cut like that, but it's going to be a stop cut. So it'll be whatever the width, the only part that will be angled will be inside the building. Under the rafters, what sticks out will be square. And I'll get this thing fed up in there and somehow braced up in a place, and we'll get it attached, and then we'll go on from there. Because one thing that I'm going to want to do, because I want to put a functioning door on this side, is even though I have a couple of boards on that side, I'm going to go to the middle and make sure that I have one board on each side of center on this side, because the doors will end up being like a little double door that'll open like this. And you can cut all that after the fact. So put the board and batten in. You can even frame it out. And you can go up there with a circular saw, just kind of draw it out, cut it with a circular saw right to the edge point, so you're leaving the corners intact so the pieces don't fall out. Frame the thing, put your hinges on, and then go in there with a little Japanese pull saw or regular saw afterwards, and just, or a saber saw, and just cut out the corners, and then your doors will function. You can frame the whole thing right in place, cut it all out right in place. That's usually how I do ridge vents whenever, or gable vents. Whenever I do a gable vent, I just side the building and then put the gable vent in later. So that's what's going on. Give you a look at the lumber. You know, it's pretty looking white pine. There are a couple of waves in it. There's a pretty good little wave right here. I'm not sure what I was hitting for a knot cluster there, but it was cutting pretty wide. Other than that, let's look down this edge. It's pretty straight. They're pretty flat, just can tell by the way they're sliding. That's what's left of the cants. You can see we cut right through the pith. And yeah, I will get these flitches up there, edge them off, so I have something to set them up against. And then cut this out and start going to town. So that's what's going on this morning, and appreciate the watch. Hopefully by tonight I can shoot a video and have this whole thing sheathed. We'll see. It's going to have to be a marathon afternoon. If I cut these all at 8 feet, because the back walls, they're all just 8 feet, so you can just start at one corner and just run 8-footers all the way across. It ends up pretty simple. They're only shot into place in 3 spots. So that's pretty much it. Appreciate the watch. Hit me up if you have any questions. And for now, Pirate Solutions out.